Hey, thank you for checking out this webinar. Today we're just going to be covering a reporting features update in Metorik. So just looking at all the reporting related improvements we've made to the app over the last 6 to 12 months. There's quite a few, some really big updates, but also some smaller ones that you might have missed. So I want to put together a quick video that just summarizes it all, also includes a few tips and tricks, and yeah, it gives you an idea of all these updates that we've made lately. So I'm just starting here for this test store on the dashboard, and I'll start by jumping into the report section. Now we have a new reports index, and the idea of this page is that it just gives you all your reports in one location, helps you find any specific reports you're looking for, but also gives you the ability to favorite the reports that you're looking at the most. And as soon as you favorite a report, it's going to just appear right at the top, and it just makes it really easy to look at find the report you're looking for every day without having to jump through all the reports to find it. You can also filter by searching. So if we added a filter at the top here for country, we could look at all the country related reports. And here, for example, orders grouped by country, we could favorite that. And now we can just click on that to get to that report specifically really fast. Here we are. So that's just kind of the reports index, but one of the bigger features that kind of leads me to is segmenting. You'll notice that the button at the top of this report, segment report, and we're on the orders report right now, but it's actually at the top of pretty much every report in Metorik. Revenue report, you'll find it there, profit report, refunds, everything, customers. So we'll just show it on the orders report, but the idea with this segment report button is that when you click on it, you can filter the report by hundreds of different filters. And if you've used Metorik before, you'd be familiar with this segmenting system from other parts of the app, but now it's in the report. So here we're just looking at the last 6 months, the 795 orders, but we can start to filter this down by applying extra filters. So now we're just looking at orders with a total of over 150. There's quite a few, so it really does depend on what questions you're trying to answer. But we could do things like, all right, well, I just want to see by certain currencies or certain products, payment methods, tax codes, but even then categories and details like that. If you're using our profit system, order costs, you can just look at orders that cost a certain amount, different customer details. But here I might add another filter for the product categories. Get rid of the currency filter. I could say jazz, rock, pop, and still got that. Reduce that now, and we just kind of see the numbers change. So now we're looking at 612 orders that match this segment. We also have a checkbox up the top, only successful orders, because by default, when you're looking at a report, you want to be looking at orders that succeeded, right? And for this store, based on the Metorik report settings, orders that have a pending status aren't successful. They're not going to be included in the report. But if you did actually want to look into those pending or failed or cancelled orders, you actually have the ability to do that now by unticking this. So we're now including non-successful orders, the pending ones. And then maybe to go a bit deeper, we could add a filter for the status. And we can say, okay, well, I just want to see pending orders. And I'll get rid of the category filter. We can see the numbers now 125, but it's useful here because we can actually understand, well, of the orders that are failing on the store, what do they look like? Maybe we'd notice, well, the payment method tends to be Stripe more than PayPal, so we need to look into that. Or we could see that certain shipping methods are being chosen. Probably more useful even is the country, right? If we see, okay, well, Australia does tend to have a large number of these pending orders. Maybe it's an issue there in terms of the shipping options or something like that, which are causing people to not complete their orders. And similarly, some of the other reports will all be updated now for that segment. So that can be quite useful. But I'm going to get rid of that and just look at the entire period for now, because I also want to show you some of the new reports that we've added to this orders report. So if I scroll down a bit, we can now see quite some useful ones: average order gross over time and average order items over time, which is just useful for understanding if your average order value is actually going up or going down, and the items. And then this one, orders by day and hour, which we already have had for a long time, actually, probably since the first few months of Metorik. We've had a spend by day, spend by hour report. But this new orders by day and hour combines that all and gives you an idea of on a weekly basis what hours of the week are most orders happening. And that can help you determine, if there's makes sense to send emails around that time, like a newsletter, if you should spend more on Facebook, Google, Pinterest ads around that time period. Certain questions like that can be answered. Maybe you want to have live chat on your store, but you want to have it there during a busy period. Like if we look around here, Thursday afternoon, it could make sense to do that. And you can actually change it. So instead of it being based on the total orders in terms of the color and how dense it is, we could say, well, I want to base it on sales, so actual revenue, or the average order. And the average order one's useful to see, like, when are you getting the highest possible average order? Is it on a Wednesday at 12 p.m. or is it on a Saturday in the evening? And that'll answer that. Another useful feature actually when it comes to this report, if you did sell point of sale in like a shop through your store and you filtered your report by the sales channel or the payment method being point of sale using the filters, you could just see a breakdown of orders by day and hour just for that payment method in your store. So you can actually understand when are most transactions happening in store, in a physical store. So that's a useful one. And I'll just jump into a customer's report as well. So you also have the segment button up here and pretty much every report, including subscription related ones. Customers filters are going to be different to what you'd see on the orders report. So on a customer's report, you could do a filter like total spend in the customer's lifetime is over 200. And we could say, well, I just want to look at customers that last ordered in the past 6 months. And you can also apply other filters like product purchase, active subscription count, find customers that started a subscription between certain days or that didn't place an order between certain days. So you have quite a lot of filters here, again, to narrow it down just to certain customers. And really, I think where the segmenting system is the most useful when it comes to customer reporting is looking at different cohorts and trying to understand, well, if we just look at the report without any filters applied, using this, we can see, well, customers that first ordered in the last 6 months, we can see how many customers first ordered in each month and what they went on to spend. But it's useful to use these filters because you can say, well, we can actually just search by first. We can say, well, I want to look at customers, who first, the first product they purchased was one of these two products. And then we can see, okay, well, just of those customers, how do they perform over their lifetime? And this can also be really useful when it comes to using like UTM related filters. So you can see based on the source of a customer, what their purchase history ends up being like. The nice thing about the segmenting system is you can save any of the segments you create. So we could save this, or we can also select ones that other team members have made. So I can pull up this old segment I have here, and I can make some changes to it, and then I can even, save the changes, determine who on the team sees it, and select ones that other team members have made to just quickly apply them to the report. And an important thing about segmenting, right? So I'm just going to clear that again. Well, I think one interesting part to show you, right, is that if we're looking now at this customer's report and we're seeing customers grouped by the country, we can see 55, 31. So if we saw this 27 customers in Japan, you can click on that 27 and you can see the exact 27 customers that make up that report. But then you can actually report on a segment. So if I now click report, it'll apply those filters. And now I can see just the report for those 27 customers from Japan. And another little trick that I want to mention here, when you're looking at any of these group by reports, you can actually just click on, for example, Japan, and it'll do it for you here. And this is a little different to what we were looking at before because it's now looking at all time. So you'll notice there's more customers. But yeah, it's quite a useful feature just if you're looking at a report and you want to go a bit deeper, you can do that really quickly. So I'll give you the orders report as another example. We're looking at all time. And I can go down here and see orders grouped by payment method and change it to payment method title instead of ID. And then, yeah, so if we're looking at this 1929, we can click on that and view the actual orders, but we can also just click on PayPal and the report should update to just have those 1,929 orders in the report. So really easy just to keep zeroing down into it. So now we're looking at all the PayPal orders. We could say, well, I want to look at all the processing, and it's stacking it. So you've got PayPal and the processing filter now in that 225. So yeah, quite a useful feature just for like looking at a group and then going deeper and deeper into it. And yeah, similar to what I was mentioning before, right? If we're on the orders page or customers page, this segment system's always been in Metorik, and you can use it on these pages to build segments and export. But now, so if I build a segment just based on the product purchase, I can click report, and it'll just do it for me, bring me in here. We've got this unchecked, so that's why there's a little difference. But yeah, this is quite useful just for basically building a segment and then determining, okay, well, do I want to export that segment or do I want to report on it? Or, you know, of course, add it to a dashboard, which has always been a feature of Metorik. So if I had a segment like this, and I just said all orders, I can save that as a segment, and you know, you'll notice here that it's all orders, even ones that aren't successful. So might want to add an extra filter here for the status and say is not pending. Reduces a bit, and I'll update that segment. Yeah, and once you have a segment like that, besides being able to report or export it, you could actually add it to the dashboard. If I click customize here, this is just a default layout, but I can add a new card, and I can actually choose segment and find that one that we just made, all orders Dave Pike, and show, you know, all stats for it or certain numbers from that segment on a custom dashboard, and it got added to the bottom here. I'll just drag it up to the top. There we go. Just say it was like default plus Dave. And then you've got that segment there. And again, just click on that. We're now back to here where it's applying the filters. We can then click report. So the segmenting report button is quite important just because it ties everything together. And now you do have that ability to just have a segment and look at it in a bunch of different ways throughout the app. So that kind of covers the segmenting feature and how it impacts the report. Another feature that I think is quite useful that we've added recently is, and it's a fun one, it's chart downloading. So any chart that you see in Metorik now, you can always export it, but now you can actually download a chart as an image. And within one click, it'll just generate a really nice chart image for you. It'll remember your settings. So if you decide, you know, you want to have that kind of background color as a gradient or choose a specific color, and I'll just do one here, right? So I can say orders. I can determine, you know, maybe I'll keep the legend, but I don't want to show the dates there. And I want to give it a title, like all-time orders. And then I can click download, and it will generate an image like that of the chart, which is quite cool. And then if I went now to a different report, such as a revenue report, and I just chose to do this one, it's remembering the color and other settings that I had, like showing dates. So you just have to set it once, and then whenever you download an image, it'll be quite consistent from Metorik. And so it's really useful when it comes to like having a report in Metorik that you want to share outside of Metorik, and perhaps it's with a team member who you don't want to invite to the Metorik account, or maybe, you know, it's an external investor or partner or bank that you want to share some of your reports with in a visual way, but don't want to necessarily give them access to your whole reporting system. And also, yeah, when it comes to segmenting and building specific reports, it's useful to be able to download charts for each of the different segmented reports that you've built. And one feature I haven't really mentioned, right? We're in light mode, and we added dark mode to the app over the last year. And dark mode is quite useful if you like to use your computer at night, or, you know, it can be easier on your eyes. And if you want, you can have this automatically follow your system setting. So if your computer's in dark mode or your phone's in dark mode, it'll copy that. But otherwise you can manually set it. And why I wanted to mention dark mode is that all the downloading features actually work in dark mode and give you a dark chart, which is also quite cool. If to do with your brand, you want to keep it kind of looking consistent, you can do that. Or of course, you can always just switch back to light mode and have it in light mode. You may have noticed while I've been forecasting that there's while I've been downloading charts as images, there's a forecast button to the side. And this is quite a cool feature. I'm trying to think of the best place to show it. I think we'll jump into maybe the new customers report, and we'll just look at a period such as the last 6 months. And if we click forecast, you'll notice it says select a period with at least 10 data points. Because in order to do a forecast, we need a bit more data. Since we're looking at it on a monthly basis here, there is only 6 data points. So if I was to change this and say, well, I want to look at it on a daily basis, or maybe weekly, might be a bit smoother, then we can click forecast. And that will basically apply a formula to determine a forecasted report. And it's not perfect. We can never be certain, and a lot of things can depend on seasonality and things like that. But this forecasting algorithm does take into account trends. It takes into account if you've had a lot of sales on a certain day. Is it seasonal? Is it going to repeat? So we'll give you a pretty good idea, and it can be really useful just for quickly looking at a report and trying to understand what the next 6 months looks like from that. And of course, it applies with any of the segment, right? So if we first did apply some filters such as the product purchase, we can then forecast just for the segment here. So it really is quite cool when it is combined with all those other features. And you can just be looking at subscriptions or looking at customers, and within a few seconds build up a filter, view a report for it, and then forecast that report. So if I went to customers and I did say, just want to see all the customers that have spent over 500, narrow it down to just 12 customers. It's maybe not enough for a good forecast, but let's pop it down to 200. See how we go. 921, report on it. We're looking at all time. Again, maybe I'll just make last 6 months, flip it over to weekly. We can now just forecast really quickly for that group. So it's a useful feature, and especially useful when combined with segmenting. What else do I want to show you? There's a few other things. I think another useful one just to mention is back on the dashboard. So we've added this recently. So when it comes to any of the dashboard layouts that are built in, or if you've customized one, so I have a Jazz Records one here. So I can click on this. Now, at any point, I can just use the drop down to create a digest from it. Digests are pretty much our way of sending you this report automatically by email or by Slack every day, week, or month. So rather than before you had to create a digest and customize it, now you can use your existing dashboard or customize a dashboard layout and then just create it straight from that in one click. So I could say monthly Jazz update, give it a custom subject if I'd like. Choose who gets it. So maybe the whole team, or maybe just me or Slack. And then in here, I can say monthly. And you'll notice that it's applied that dashboard layout already. So we're just going to be able to get that entire dashboard layout sent as an email report automatically. No extra setups needed. If you want, you can customize it, or you can select a different layout from the dashboard. There's a lot of options there, but yeah, straight out of the box, you've got any of the dashboard layouts that you've made or ones that we've included, you can now just send as a digest to yourself or your team. One other report I want to mention is the product velocity report. It's quite useful. We'll see how it works with this test store. You can find it by going under products or variations. At the top, you'll have a tab for velocity. The idea of this report is that we want to give you an idea of how much stock do you have left, like how many days of stock remain based on your sales. So if we're looking here at the last 90 days of sales, we can understand, well, on average, the daily amount sold for each product, and as such determine when you're going to run out of stock. And it's using as well your live stock count. So if we know this item has 53 in stock today, on average, we're selling around 1 a day. So ends up being just over 53, so 55 days of stock. October 13th is the expected date you'd run out of stock if the stock didn't increase, but the daily amount stayed the same. And you can actually sort it by that. So we could say, well, just show me the items that have the most stock or maybe the least. And then we can see, okay, well, we're in back order with this product. This one's running out in a couple of days. And you can set this up to send as an automatic export to you every day, week, or month if you just wanted to keep track of it. And yeah, it's quite useful as well because you can segment. So if you do have a lot of products, you don't have to just look at this for every product. You can narrow it down just by certain categories and other filters like that. I think I've covered most of the new features I wanted to mention. There's a few, just quality of life improvements that we've made around the reports that you may or may not notice, but little things like now, if we choose to change like the group by for this report, so instead of looking at revenue group by country, you might only sell to one country. It's not going to be useful to see revenue group by the one country you sell to. You can now change that, for example, to billing city. And then if I now refresh the page, refresh the report, you'll notice it remembers that. So that's just quite nice. Before it didn't do that, and it would be a little annoying to have to change it every time. Yeah, so I think I've covered everything. Hope you find this useful and hope you find all these new features useful. We're definitely interested in any feedback you have or any other ideas. We just want to keep improving it further. So thank you for watching, and yeah, thank you for using Metorik. Have a great day.